Today is November 27th. Now that you're all full of Thanksgiving meals, you've argued with your family about who the Pirates should sign or trade for, and you've diverted that energy into buying too much this weekend. Let's talk baseball together. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined again by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
How we doing, man?
Good morning, I should say.
Good morning after a long day.
So many times we get on here and we say another late night recording. Here we are, and today we're recording. I say we're recording early in the morning. But we just did a little bit of prep before, so we're actually around 10 a.m. So you guys get a little peek into what 10 a.m. looks like for me. It should not be considered early morning. But either way.
It's 9 a.m. for me.
We did, yeah, that's true. It's a little earlier for you. And, you know, you had the long day yesterday, basically worked from... What, 4 a.m.?
4 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Two separate jobs.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's fair to make sure that you clarify
break.
That. Yeah.
About a 2-hour break from noon to 2.
So, you know, I always stay up late, especially on the weekends. So for me to wake up at 9 was like, you know, have to set an alarm. But anyway, especially with no kids in the house, I'll say that. The kids are in the house, you're up anyway.
Right.
But they're not here right now. So, we got some stuff to talk about today. You know what I mean? We got another discussion about starting pitching. That seems to be a very common theme.
As it should.
As it should. That's one of the, you know, that's the number one thing that the Pirates are looking for. So there'll be a little bit of that. And some TV stuff this week, which last week Gary came in and sat in for you, and we talked about impact of injuries and, you know, kind of went into some rabbit holes there and had some conversations. And what we didn't get to was this TV stuff. So I've actually been sitting on these notes for a week now, which is good for me because it was a little bit less I had to do this week. But we're going to get into that stuff now and have that conversation. I think it's worth talking about. There's still something looming there. So let's go ahead and take a look around and see some transactions, and just let's get this thing on. What do you say? How do you say that? It's early. I haven't finished my first monster
on the up
today.
and up.
Yeah, or get this ball rolling. Maybe that's what I meant.
Get the ball rolling.
Hopefully, everybody that listens this
started.
week. Ooh. Everybody that listens this week, I hope you listen early in the morning just to feel a little bit more of my vibe, and maybe don't think that, oh, what's this guy doing? It's the middle of the afternoon. I guess that's one of the weird things about, recording something and then people could listen to it any time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you never know. Anyway, let's get moving here. Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson signed 1-year deals with the Cardinals. The Braves signed Reynaldo Lopez to a 3-year contract. That's now 3 relievers and a trade for another one. Atlanta rebuilding that bullpen in a hurry.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason you lost in the postseason. Osvaldo Bido signs a major league contract with the A's. Currently, the Athletics currently in Oakland, as I will say that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Cal Mitchell signs a minor league deal with the Padres. So just a couple guys that have been here and now gone. As far as the rest of kind of hot stove goes, Osvaldo, the Mariners trade Eugenio Suarez to the Diamondbacks for Carlos Vargas and Sebi Zavala, the guy who broke O'Neal Cruz's leg. And the Padres hire former Cardinals manager Mike Schilt as their new manager. And a bunch of teams are interested in a bunch of players. Because That's what it is. Anything stick out? I mean, you know, we don't really. Nothing. It's interesting what the Braves have done.
Yeah. The only thing that sticks out to me is I think it's hilarious. I read through all these teams interested in this player, teams interested in this player, teams that would be a good fit for this player. It's never the Pirates.
No. And they're not going to write that even if it is. You know what I mean?
Because just not a popular take.
Right. They want something that people are going to click on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, until it's interesting, they just aren't going to do it. It seems like, I mean, I read through how many things. That this is the off season. That's not very many things, right?
Right.
The hot stove's not really
hot stove.
Yeah, it's not really been hot yet. And that's okay.
Still on that lukewarm. It's like we're watching that pot. It's not going to boil.
Yeah, and the thing
saying.
Yeah. The thing is like in years past, there's been a little more action. But we'll see. Winter meetings are still a week away. I'm guessing there's not much more than touching base with a lot of these guys until winter meetings. It seems like that is that's a trend right now, is to push it to winter meetings. Unless you're the Braves, who were very aggressive. And you could say the Cardinals signing a couple old guys for 11 and 12 million or whatever it is, 10 and 12. I think it's actually 11 and 12. I wrote 10, but I think Lance Lynn actually got 11. But like, okay, cool. You got a couple dinosaurs to pitch in the back of your rotation who aren't very good. But those are maybe somebody that the Pirates could have signed to do the same thing. It's interesting to see the Cardinals do it. I would have expected them to be, if they go out and get one of the big ones, okay, I get it. They've got a lot of young guys coming too. But it's just unlike the Cardinals. But essentially, other than that, it's not really been much.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm going to reverse psychology this thing and say there won't be anything done until winter meetings. Then maybe we'll get a signing next week. I could be wrong, but it feels like that. It feels like the uptick will happen at winter meetings. And so that's basically it. I mean, we're talking Aaron Nola with the going back to Philly. And I just said Atlanta's signings of those 3 relief pitchers, those are the only multi-year deals we've had so far.
Yeah.
3 relievers and Aaron Nola going back to the team he came from. Very uneventful. Which we all saw coming, yeah. Kind of hoped it would happen, to be honest with you, because the Cardinals were in on him so hard.
Yeah.
Glad to see him at least in Philly rather than in the division. So, there's been a few other 1-year deals, right? But essentially, it's a little bit, it's lukewarm, like you said.
Yeah.
The Pirates in particular have not made any noise. Sherrington saying he'll be active in seeking starting pitchers. Let's hope that turns into some pen to paper. 2024 has been a year on our calendar for a long time. It's time, right? I mean, this is.
Sure.
It's not going to be an episode unless I make that statement. I want to make it clear right out of the gate that we expect things to improve. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to. I know that I can be. I can kind of make sense of things a lot of times, and I can kind of. I don't want to say sugarcoat, because I don't think I sugarcoat, but I just look at the positive side of things sometimes. So I don't want that to get kind of twisted in a way to say like that I'm not on that page. I am on that page. Okay.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the first topic of the day. TV, broadcast, revenue, cable contract type stuff. Like I said, this is the untouched topic from last week. But more than half the teams in the league are faced with uncertainty in the broadcast rights revenue world. Bally, Diamond Sports Group, who is Bally, going bankrupt. Last year we saw them. Who was it? The Padres, and I have it somewhere else here too. Padres and somebody else, they did not show their games last year. I forget the other team. Anyway.
So Minnesota?
No, I don't think it was Minnesota. It was last year. It was I think it was Padres and Rockies. Go figure that I would forget that. Either way,
Yeah.
This year it's more, and they're going to continue to do this. Diamond Sports or Bally, they're going to continue to say, "Hey, we're not doing it," right? And for us, we know that AT&T did the same thing. They said, "We'll take you to the end of the year, and then we're done. Figure something out."
Yeah.
And so that's where the Pirates are right now. They're kind of in that place where it's like AT&T is no more. They've said goodbye. And now it's time for the Pirates to figure out what in the world they're going to do with their games being, available to us. And they have options. Jason Mackey reported that around the time of winter meetings, we should know more about the Pirates TV situation. So there's more to talk about once we get closer to winter meetings or during winter meetings or whatever. But we know that MLB has said, and this is what they did, I think, with the Padres last year and the other team that I can't remember, is they basically they can commit about 80% of what those previous deals are. So you're already taking a 20% pay cut in your broadcast revenue. And we'll get into that a little more. But the Pirates deal is estimated to be around 50 or 60 million, but we don't really know, which is, by the way, a really low TV deal to begin with. The question is what Sportsnet Pittsburgh will be able to do about it. Their options being Sportsnet Pittsburgh, which is where the Penguins are now, Fenway Sports Group, who does Nesson up in Boston. I think they own the Penguins, right? But they bought this network. The Pirates could join in. Sportsnet Pittsburgh kind of needs the Pirates to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Pirates have that option, and they also have the option where MLB just puts all their basically they turn off blackouts. And I think I've read something where like MLB Network alternate would be available for all the local games or something like that. I don't know. But either way, they would make sure that like you don't have to have MLB TV to watch the game. Like you wouldn't have to stream the games on MLB TV. They would make it available, I think, via MLB Network alternate. So long as you have MLB Network on your cable deal, which is not YouTube TV anymore, but if you have MLB Network, then you should be able to get the games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it would be just another channel that you can turn to. And that's one of the other things that the Pirates have to be concerned about is how you'll even get those. We're not going to get into that today, though. Go read Jason Mackey's article on the TV stuff because he does go into that. You know, he goes into what channel is going to be important, that the fact that you have a channel that you can turn to and things like that. So it's going to be interesting. You're talking about, you know, because of the Pirates deal not being huge, taking like a $10 to $12 million pay cut if their numbers are where we think they might be. So it feels like it's maybe not that much. But let's take a look around the league because you think, oh, that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't matter. They've got enough revenue. But look around and start understanding what's going on. We just said Bally. They are dropping, or at least could drop, whatever it is, the Guardians and the Rangers this year. So there's 2 more teams on that list. It's now going to be up to 4 teams that they are for sure dropping. I think there's even talk that it's somebody else. Cleveland, well, I mean, everybody out here knows about the Cal Quantrill DFA, and there was a lot of Pirate fans that were saying, let's go get him, and all of those things. And he ended up getting traded to the Rockies as part of that waiver claim. And Chris Antonetti from the Guardians came right out and said that it was mostly motivated by cable revenue uncertainty. And it's just a matter of he had a down year. He's going to make $6 million. Yeah, we think he can bounce back, but we're not going to pay it just in case.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what money, you know what I mean? They're just making those types of cuts. Minnesota has said they're forced into lowering payroll after winning the division with a payroll around 150. And they're saying, we got to take it down because we don't know what our revenue looks like. The Padres I just talked about, they didn't show anything. And the Padres made all that offseason, all those offseason moves and tons of money and way out of their price range. They definitely overspent and then ended up taking out a loan because they couldn't afford the salaries.
Yeah. That's just wild. Like all this TV stuff, it's wild to me. It's a lot of money to be thrown around and taken away, really, essentially. It's like, we're not doing this anymore. We're gonna do something different. And it's just I can't wrap my head around a lot of this stuff fully. It just doesn't make a whole lot of, I don't want to say a whole lot of sense. It makes sense. I don't get the motivation behind some of it.
Yeah, I have a couple things here that'll kind of, paint a bit of a picture there if you guys are on the same page there. But essentially, MLB teams have assumed revenue that is not coming to them. All the ones that are affected by this, which is more than half the league. I think that's like a total between like AT&T and Bally. I think Bally has 14 teams and there's 3 more teams at least on AT&T. You know what I mean? I think Colorado and Seattle and Pittsburgh and maybe even Houston, who had to do their own thing as well, I think. So I don't know. There's like 15 or 16 teams, I believe, who are impacted by what's going on right now. And I think to myself, well, maybe because the Pirates deal is so small, they won't be as affected. But any revenue dip in the cable contracts will directly impact payroll.
Mm-hmm. And that's why they use percentages too. Percentages, it's going to hurt you that percent.
Yeah.
No matter what. No matter what the dollar is at the end of the day, it's a percentage of what's coming in.
Yeah, contract is we know this money's coming in. We're not worried about ticket sales. We're not worried about merchandise, which we all know ticket sales probably pay more of the park employees and park upkeep and what I just say? It's so early. Ticket sales
prices. Yeah.
Well, I said ticket sales, and then the other thing I just said. I literally just said it out loud.
Oh, concessions and that.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh,
merchandise. Yeah.
Yes.
Which merchandise? MLB gets most of that money because it's made by MLB. They're the ones with the deal. So anyway, sorry. I'm really sorry, guys. So anyway, you know what I mean? Like, so really the TV contracts is where a lot of, now the Pirates, because they're in the situation they are, and they get revenue sharing, a lot of that goes to, that has to go to player salaries. So any kind of bump up in player salaries is going to be because of money that they have coming in a TV deal. So it will impact it. And when you're talking about the Pirates and a low amount of payroll too, then, I don't know. We'll get there. I lost my spot here. Okay, so anyway, baseball in general has a problem. And we can talk so many times about, baseball's losing its popularity, baseball's dying, which is the hilarious one to me. It's not dying, right?
No.
It's not number one anymore. That doesn't mean it's dying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's ridiculous. It's like saying, well, the Yankees haven't won a World Series, so they're just probably going to fold it in. Like, come on, man.
They're packing it.
Yeah, they're packing it in. They're gonna retire as a team. We're going down to 29 because the Yankees haven't won a World Series. Like, come on. Player contracts keep going up, and apparently Craig Counsell's contract. They keep driving it up because revenue keeps going up. And yes, even in baseball, with a sport that's dying, revenue's still going up every year. We can act like it's not. It's just not increasing the amount that it used to. I think last year, just going to games, I think average MLB attendance was the most it's been since like 2007 or something like that. So no, like people are still watching baseball. They're still going, right? And whatever. But once Once player salaries go up, dude, they don't come back down without something
Yeah.
catastrophic. The market doesn't reset when revenue decreases. Like that just becomes an issue.
Yeah.
This is why, in general, that these regional sports networks are probably in the situation they're in. I wouldn't be surprised if players sign later into the offseason because of that. Because there are teams out there who are saying, we're just not going to go to that number. Not because you're not worth it, but because this is what the books say I can afford. And if they don't have that number, I think they'll sit and they'll wait for somebody to say, all right, we'll do it. And when they don't, ultimately, baseball players want to play baseball.
Yeah.
If anybody's saying, I really wanted, I'm gonna go a lower number here just to make sense out of things. I really wanted $100 million, and the highest offer I have is $80 million, and it's a year less. I think I'm gonna sit half the season out. I'm sorry, you're selfish. If you're getting hung up over $80 million, like, bro, just sign a deal.
Yeah.
Go out there and play the game you're supposed to play.
Yep.
It's just silly. It's absolutely silly. It'd be one thing if they're offering me $50,000 and a minor league deal, but I really thought I could make $50 million. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
obviously that's different. You can make $50,000 anywhere. Otherwise, you sign because you're a baseball player.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody just yelled at me, and there's some kind of principle that I'm just, whatever. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Comments, YouTube, do that stuff because I'm willing to listen. I say things sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't think of the full thing when I said that. Anyway, not all teams are affected, but if you think the Yankees won't take advantage of smaller offers to save a few million, because if they're not in a position to save because of their TV contract, but they know that they're in competition with 3 teams for a player who won't go further because of their TV contract, the Yankees just aren't going to just go further. They're going to try to keep him as low as they can and still have the highest deal. That's just the way it's going to go. There's a game there, and they're going to do it. I mean, owners will try to push lower offers any chance they get.
Oh yeah.
Get under that tax if possible for a team like the Yankees or whatever. If you can get under that tax, that's perfect. And the more they do that, the less money that comes to teams like the Pirates. Mm-hmm. We kind of need the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and all them. We kind of need them to spend, because that means more money comes to Bob Nutting, and that money that comes to him, he has to spend on players.
Right.
He has no choice but to spend it on players. So you kind of want that, right?
Yep.
All right, so a little bit of a picture here. A little bit of a picture. When we start saying like, well, we can't understand the extent of this and how much it impacts. The NFL has the format, man. It's 1 game a week. It makes it easy to come up with a deal with national TV. You don't have to worry about a regional sports network. You put all your games on national TV. Fans are easily committed to watch 1 day a week. Now, I understand they've got a couple others sprinkled in here. But for the most part, you got Sunday. You know what I mean? Which is typically a day off for most people. Mm-hmm. No other sport needs commitment from their fans in that same way. The NFL is asking fans to take 1 day and say, dedicate this to football, which is easy to do. So, but it does require people to watch it.
Yeah.
But, other sports don't have to do that. They are available for the fan. Baseball in particular is on every day, right? And they're not asking the fans to watch every game. But if you're at home and you want to watch a game, we got you. There's one on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're going to play just about every day. Very rarely is there not a game on. And I said, baseball's done it the best, and regional sports networks have made this possible. According to a thread on Twitter or X from Travis Sawchik, He said some portion of every significant contract in Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA is indirectly subsidized by cable subscribers who never watch live sports. This is an interesting piece of this. It's a great model since the New York Islanders created it in the early 1980s, something that I didn't had any idea of. So this all started in the NHL. Regional Sports Network, they said, we're going to put this in the cable package. Everybody who buys cable will contribute to this channel, and we'll be able to pay the Islanders for their broadcast rights. It all works out. We got a bunch of people that aren't even watching who are paying for it. That runs out at now, right? That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Long term, Travis says, long term, the games will get in front of more viewers and create new and greater revenues, but we'll see. Essentially, I don't know how you can be confident in that, but the strength of the regional sports network is that it was there. It was included in what you were already paying for. So for all of us who do want to watch, you have the channel. It's included. It's going to be, if it's not included in your cable package, this is going to be something that is possibly harder to get in front of the fan, as we mentioned before. And if it comes down to getting MLB TV, man, I'm going to tell you, it's not, you and I will pay for it. People that are listening to this right now in the off season, you guys will pay for it. You guys will say, yeah I want to watch the Pirates. What's it cost? And really, MLB TV is really cheap. When you really think about the amount of games that you have the opportunity to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's say you watch, I don't know, 100 games. It costs like $130. Like, you telling me you're not going to pay $1.30 per game? You know what I mean? Like, that's really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the less games you watch, if you're thinking of value and things like that, I would also say that some of that is just having it available is value. So you can cut that off of the per game cost and things like that. It's available after the game too. You can watch it anytime.
Yeah.
You can watch, I mean, it depends on if you get just the team deal or the whole thing and you've got all these things. I get a notification, so-and-so's got a no-hitter. Boom, it's on my phone. I'm going to watch the end of this no-hitter or see how it breaks up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's as easy as that. Somebody's got 3 home runs. Oh, will he hit a 4th? You know what I mean? Like, just really simple things.
Yeah.
That are just right at your fingertips. But if the price is steep, man, I don't know how. Let's say somebody is, hey, there's nothing on TV. Let's turn on the game. Pirates are on. Let's see how it's going. You might watch a part of 20 to 50 games. A real casual fan, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I look and see how they're doing, especially the Pirates right now. What motivation do you have, right? But you can, if there's nothing else on, and you might flip over to the Pirate game and watch a few innings. If they're doing well, maybe you watch a few more. If they're getting beat, you turn it off after an inning. You know what I mean? And it's like some part of 20 to 50 games. Tell me how that fan, who really only turns it on because it's available, would ever pay for anything to watch the Pirates.
They're not going to.
They're not going to.
No.
So that is another thing. Baseball has been committed to being around and available for the fan, not the other way around. So I don't really know. How do you fix this in baseball? You go back to bigger bill games. You got to figure something out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to Sunday night baseball, Wednesday night baseball. Create some more hype around that. Somehow work with ESPN. Stop fighting with them. Get them talking about baseball again.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks
that'll be a big start.
Everybody thinks that ESPN doesn't talk about baseball because they're uninterested, because it's dying. No, it's because once MLB started, MLB pulled a bunch of programming and pulled a bunch of resources and put it into MLB Network. And ESPN was like, you going to play like that? Fine. We're just not going to talk about you. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a fight. Anyway, go back to something like that. Create some hype. Maybe in the summer you do something where you commit to that NFL Sunday type thing. Show 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games, featured games on Sundays. The NFL's not on. So
Have you seen what basketball's doing right now?
with the in-season tournament stuff,
Yes.
yeah, that's stupid.
Stupid.
But yeah.
But they're trying something.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Anyway, and and I did a athletic survey thing not too long ago. And they're like, "Would you like baseball to do something like this?" No. And the results were like almost 100% no. There's like 10 weird dudes who said yes. But 10 soccer fans were like, "Yeah, it's a great idea." Anyway, because that's a soccer thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So create a day of that Sunday thing, though.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Just make it so that and then maybe what you do is you send this out to the coaches and to the people and say, "Hey, how about not throwing garbage lineups out on Sunday? Let's make this more of a featured day." You know
Right.
those Sunday lineups that we like to say. I don't know if it changes anything. It's based around having featured players on a Saturday night versus a Sunday afternoon. So I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how you change everything, right? Show them on ESPN. Get that thing. You know what I mean? Do you do that? And then when football starts, you can keep showing them on ESPN because they don't show football on Sundays.
Right.
Like they show bowling. So just take that over.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Just say, we'll show baseball even during, you know what I mean? You show bowling once baseball's over.
Yeah.
It's just some thoughts like that. They've got to figure something out. And we know that they don't market their players well enough because that means that they drive value up. You can't drive payroll or salaries down if you're driving value up. Right? We know that. Owners will figure out a way. Any way to drive down player salaries is good. I don't know. I guess you could have a hard cap and shared revenue. Well, that's seems to be impossible, right? But maybe MLB controlling broadcast aspect of everything is the only way to ever approach that model. So maybe that is something that through all this mess that will go down first before it goes back up. But maybe somewhere along the line, the Pirates will have the same money to spend that the Yankees do. I doubt it'll ever be 1-to-1 like that, but at least from the TV contract aspect of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's possible. I don't know. There's a lot more questions than answers here. You have any more thoughts on any of this stuff? The TV stuff. I mean, like we said, we're going to find some more stuff out, maybe specific to the Pirates, but this is all really interesting, and it is certainly impacting free agency and the amount of money that teams are willing to spend when they just don't know how much money they have coming in.
Yeah, it's just like any business. If you don't know how much money's coming in, it's hard to spend it. You could be digging yourself a bigger hole.
Yeah, we'll hope to get into this more later when it's more specific to the Pirates and now that we've kind of got an idea of what's going on. But just don't be surprised if the Pirates back off of this aggressive vocabulary once we get closer to understanding. Right now, there's no reason for them to say anything else, right? Because we don't know.
Right.
But if we come up to this thing and it's like, wow, we really, like, let's say the Pirates decide we're going to go with Pittsburgh Sportsnet because of all the extra programming that we can still do. All of the Inside Pirates baseball and all those things that they may not get to do with MLB. You know what I mean? So if they want to keep all of that programming, then they go with Pittsburgh Sportsnet. But in the process, they're taking even less money in order to have the ability to do that stuff. Where on the MLB side, you come on the air like 15 minutes before the game, you have a short pregame, you have a short postgame afterwards. And that's like the extent of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're taking a big hit when it comes to that with, people are going to lose their jobs. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of have but it might be less money anyway. You might take less money to have more availability and more freedom to do what you want. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think it's safe to say, because of where they're coming from, as far as payroll goes, we'll still see an increase in payroll this season. But it just might not be as much as what we thought it could have been, right? I know I've heard a lot of people saying it needs to get to this number. It might not. Because if this thing comes out that they're taking significantly less, I guarantee you that will hit. And
it has to. I mean,
as much as we don't want to admit it,
right?
Bob Nutting ain't going to spend his own money on this team.
All right,
he's gonna spend profit only. It's a business. We're not going to get into that, but the idea is that if it comes out that this stuff is lower, I have a feeling it's going to come out that they're not going to spend the way that we thought they were going to spend, or the way they thought they were going to spend.
Just going to say, or the way they thought they were going to spend.
All right. Well, doom and gloom. Let's get creative here. Let's pivot into something else, and let's get creative about starting pitching and kind of more of painting a picture of like what's going on around the league, what we've seen and complained about for a few years now, and stuff like that. And we're going to go through an exercise. We know that the Pirates, we talked about it before we started here. Number one concern right now is starting pitching. And I don't know, man, with uncertainty of money, I don't know how are the Pirates going to, fare now that there's another pitcher that they're going to have to sign. And now that, all these things, who are you going to get? What type of players? You got a bunch of young pitchers. Gary and I talked last week that you're going to have to limit innings and try to avoid injuries. You cannot go out and jump these guys mega amounts of innings and wear them down. You're going to have to get creative. So, there's one guy on the free agent market that we could talk about getting a lot of buzz, and one guy on the trade block. So we're going to talk about the effectiveness of starting pitchers and maybe where the trend's going with that. One of these guys just won a Cy Young, and the other one, the word ace being thrown around.
Loosely.
I mean, it's just being thrown around, but we'll call it loose. Let's start with Blake Snell. Just won a Cy Young. What makes Snell so good? Run prevention, for sure, right? 2.25 ERA last season, 234 strikeouts in 180 innings. So let me ask you first question. The word ace. Can you be called an ace if you don't throw 200 innings? I want to know your opinion on that because I've really been thinking about this lately. Yeah, I want your opinion on that.
I mean, you got to be at least close, like really close. You want a horse. You want your ace to be a horse.
Obviously, results matter, right?
100%.
How about this?
100%.
How about this? Number of starts. Player A, okay? 32 starts, 21 starts, 33, 32, 33, COVID year, 30, 33, 33. So availability, you're starting a lot of games. That's really good, right? Those are good numbers to hear. You had 1 year in there where it was a little bit less than that, okay? And then you look at innings, starting with that same season, 208. Then the down year, 116. 203, 200, 212, COVID year, 180, 200, 209. It's actually 181. So you're looking at, okay, that's some significant work. And he's effective. There's a fourth place in a Cy Young, a fifth place, a second place, a fourth place, a second place, a ninth place, right? There's a lot of them in there.
Yeah.
And then finally, last year there was a first place in the Cy Young. We got 6-time All-Star, twice an ERA title. This is Garrett Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Cole is an ace. Without question.
Without question.
Maybe the ace of Major League Baseball right now. I mean, maybe. I don't really, you know what I'm saying? Like it's an interesting thought. But he might be like...
He's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah, he might be the quintessential ace of Major League Baseball. He's only thrown 8 complete games, 5 shutouts. So that's a lot of... it's a lot of games and a lot of years. He still isn't throwing... It's not like he's old school all the way.
Right.
8 complete games out of 300 games. You know what I'm saying? So we're not talking Greg Maddux here. But speaking of, is Greg Maddux an ace?
Yeah.
Without question, right? And the guy's in the Hall of Fame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 straight seasons over 200 innings. Most of those some of them in the 260s. And then he had a 199, so he missed 200.
Oh, no.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 more. And then, at this point, he's 40. Right? And then even at 40, he threw 210 innings and then 198 and 194 at 42. Now, that's a whole other ball game, right? We understand. He threw innings. He was very effective. ERA is over 4 after 39, but 37 maybe. Yeah, 37. 38. But the thing is like he didn't throw 100 miles an hour, right?
Right.
He made sure he could pitch well into games. 109 complete games.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? 35 shutouts. Now that's in 744 games. So 300 to 700, a little more than 100% more games than Garrett Cole. But the pace would put Garrett Cole somewhere around 40 complete games if he was going to do the same thing. You know what I mean? I don't know what that number would be. But this is just an exercise to say, like, what is an ace today? Because obviously it's not Greg Maddux. Those type of numbers are not possible the way that pitchers pitch today. Right. But Garrett Cole, who is a guy who throws 100, you know what I'm saying? He's showing that, yes, you can still do this. This is what makes an ace. You could look at guys like Verlander. I'm sure he's in that list. Scherzer, probably multiple years of, and these are guys who I wouldn't consider aces anymore because of their age. But I don't know. I mean, do you have other thoughts of other guys? I mean, like, what does 200 innings actually matter? Or is Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow an ace because of production? Does it only matter on how good you are when you go out there?
Yes. I mean, that's the main point is how good you are when you go out there. However, if you're constantly cutting their outings a little bit short, then they're not the workhorse that you want them to be your ace. Like, I need you to go out and win us the game. Mm-hmm. You do not win us the game in 5 innings. Mm-hmm. There's still 4 more innings to play. If you're going to go out there and win me a game, get through 7. Make me only need 2 innings.
I think...
And I'm not saying every start you should go out and throw 7 innings. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're the ace, that's kind of the expectation is for you to go out and throw 7 innings for me every night you go out.
Or at least have the potential to.
The potential to go 7 innings. Yeah, that's the better word. I can count on you to give me 6 to 7 innings every night.
So Garrett Cole, on average, this season, 6 1/3. He's pitching into the 7th inning on average. Mm-hmm. Into the 7th inning. I think that is probably, if you're north of 6, which means you're getting through 6 on average. You don't have to even get out of that 7th. That's fine. Throw 6 innings.
Right.
And then give me 3 innings at the end, and I'm happy, right? Mm-hmm. A quality start requires you to throw 6 innings. So even if you go with that, an ace should be able to throw, if he's 33 starts, he's got to give me at least 20. I don't know. I'm going to jump in and give a number there. I was going to say 25 quality starts, but let me see how many Garrett Cole had last year. I mean, this is in his Cy Young year, right? If I can find the daggum quality start statistic, this is awesome. Anyway, keep going while I look for this.
So if you get 30 starts a year, average 30 starts a year, you're looking at, oh, I did that wrong. 30 starts times 6 is 180 innings.
Okay.
That's why if you go to 34 starts is when it gets over that 200 mark at 204.
34. Yeah, 33. What I'm seeing for a lot of people is like 31 to 33.
So if you go, what did I just do? 31 starts
6
times
innings.
6 is 186.
So if Snell's at 180,
Yeah.
are we saying that that's kind of where we're at, like 180 innings?
If you get to that 7 mark, you're at 217.
Which is ridiculous. Like, that's just not going to happen anymore. But
Right.
getting into the 7th, I think, is when you're averaging 6, that means you're pitching into the 7th. Because there are going to be games that you're taking out early. I don't see the quality start, so I'm not going to keep looking just for the sake of keeping the conversation going. But so I've got some numbers here. 180 and 32 starts, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking 32 starts.
Right.
That's an average of just under 5.2. Now I don't think it's 2/3. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just under 5 2/3 innings per start. On average, he's getting into the 6th, but not getting out of it. Well, let's go one step further. Jake, he pitched 3 times this season in the 7th inning. Just 3 times did he actually take the mound in the 7th inning.
Right.
And as you would expect, he threw all 3 of those innings clean. 3 perfect innings. Or no runs, right? He finished the 7th inning in all 3 of those games. I'll say that. He also pitched or never saw the mound in the 8th inning. In a Cy Young season. He also only pitched into the 6th inning 21 times for a total of 20 innings in the 6th in a Cy Young year. So 11 starts of 32, he didn't even get into, like, he didn't even take the mound in the 6th inning in a Cy Young season. Run prevention, though. You know what I mean? He's great at it.
Yeah.
He pitched in the 5th inning all but 2 starts. So he's getting you 5.
Right.
Or at least getting into the 5th. All right, so he faced 1 batter all season a 4th time through. A little more than half of the hitters he faced a 3rd time through, which really isn't a lot.
Right.
But a little higher than I expected, because I thought it was like, well, we'll get him 2 times through, we'll get him out of there. You know what I mean? Like, I was expecting to get into there when I started this exercise. It's not a matter of pitch count. Getting over 115 times he did this year. So it's not a pitch count thing. He's thrown pitches. All 32 starts, he was north of 76 pitches. So he's throwing. In his other Cy Young year, yes, this is a guy who's won the Cy Young twice. He went beyond 6 innings 13 times of 31. So a little bit better there. But I looked up this season, and we're going to do this for each pitcher we're going to talk about here today. And I'll kind of move quickly through this. June 11th against Colorado, threw 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 12 strikeouts, 85 pitches. He faced 23 batters. And then Colorado scored 2 runs in each of the 8th and 9th and 1. On August 28th at St. Louis, he pitched 7 innings, just 2 hits, no runs, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts. We know this about him. He's not afraid to walk people. And maybe because of run prevention, I mean, he's good at it. He doesn't care if he puts people on base. He gets out of it. But that's why his pitches are up there. 109 pitches, faced 28 batters. St. Louis scored a run in the 8th, but they won. And in September, in Colorado, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, no runs, 104 pitches, 25 batters faced, Xander hit a walk-off in the ninth to win 2-0. Now let's talk about the free agent or the trade in Tyler Glass now, the trade piece that we talked about. 21 games he started this year. That's a career high, Jake. And they're throwing Ace out.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I'll give it to you on Snell.
Yeah.
We just said 180 pitches seems acceptable on the low end, but seems acceptable. Run prevention is great. Okay. We'll keep moving here. Man, 21 starts, and that's after an injury last year because he couldn't cheat anymore. And he pitched 4 times in the 7th inning, also did not see the 8th inning, finished one of those 7th innings. In 16 of 21 starts, he pitched in the 6th inning, faced 2 hitters a 4th time through the order, but he did get through the 3rd time, or into the 3rd time, 20 out of 21 starts. So he's getting into that 3rd time through, more so than Blake Snell. He also went over 100 pitches just 3 times, over 90 pitches 10 times. So there's maybe a little bit of a pitch count thing on him, and that's possibly coming off the injury. But let's look at those 4 games he went into 7th inning. Three of them were straight in July. On the 20th versus Baltimore, 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 9 strikeouts, 93 pitches, faced 27 batters. 7 innings against Miami, 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, 97 pitches. Okay, so a lot of these numbers are the same. I don't have to actually read through all these. But essentially, he's doing well in these games.
Yeah.
Seems to be effective. He's in each of these games, he's under 100 pitches. And I told you, he threw 100 pitches 3 times, none of them in the games that he went deep. Let's talk about some Pirates now. Obviously, if you're going to talk about this stuff, you're going to have to bring this to the Pirates, right? Johan Oviedo, 32 starts, 177 and 2/3, so close to 180. How does he stack up in these same types of things? He pitched into the 7th inning 10 times. 8 2/3 innings in those 10 games, but he got there. Into the 8th and 9th once, it was the same game. It was his complete game shutout. But he faced batters a 3rd time through in 30 of 32 starts and 8 hitters a 4th time, which is more than the 2 guys who are called aces.
Right.
Over 100 pitches 5 times, over 90 pitches 25 times. More than the other 2. Games over the 6th inning, you see a 6 2/3, a 7-7, 6 1/3, 7 6 2/3, 7-7-7, and a 9, right? And all of those pretty decent. There's an outlier that sticks out in there. On July 6th, 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts, 98 pitches, 28 batters faced. Pirates lose 5-4, but here's the deal. The Dodgers scored 2 in the 6th and 1 in the 7th off of Oviedo. Okay, so he's 98 pitches, he's deep. A little bit of, well, what if we just don't send him out there for the 7th? Right? And he ends with 4 earned runs instead. And he doesn't get those 2 outs in the 7th inning, but he also doesn't give up the run. Now you start to see where we're going with the exercise. What if you take him out when he's struggling in the 6th? You know what I mean? And he can maybe avoid one of those runs. Now all of a sudden, sure, he only gets you 5 2/3 maybe, and I don't actually have the game log here, so I don't know if that would have been the case. But let's say they take him out, bring in Moretta, and he leaves the runner stranded. He gives up 1 run. Now all of a sudden he had 5 2/3 with 3 runs. Something you can live with a little more, right?
Yeah.
And maybe at that point, I mean, the Pirates only scored 2 in that game, so we probably still lose, but you're still in it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know when the Pirates scored those 2 runs either. There's another game where it's 7 innings. He gave up just 1 run, and he gave that run up in the 7th inning. You know what I mean? You just wonder, okay? Now, there's other games like July 15th where he goes 7 innings, and the Pirates lose 3-1, and he only gave up 1 run. The other runs were given up after in the 8th or 9th. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So you can feel it out, but you wonder how many times these guys were like, he's got to get me the rest of this inning. I know he's struggling, but we're already losing, and we got to keep him out there. So you have a little bit of a struggle. Let's talk about Mitch Keller. 32 starts, 194 and a third. Wanted that 200. That was important to him. It's important to pitchers. We can talk about it all we want, how much we don't care. Who cares? Pitchers care.
Yeah, they do.
9 games, 8 innings in the 7th, 3 times in the 8th, once in the 9th for his complete game shutout as well, which is something that neither of these the guys did, obviously. I mean, Blake Snell came out of a game one time when he had a no-hitter, okay?
Right.
All 32 starts, he faced hitters a third time through. And actually quite a bit. Like, that number is not far from the number of first plate appearances. Like, the highest percentage of all 4 of these guys we've talked about. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't look at Garrett Cole in this deep. You know what I mean? Faced 12 hitters a 4th time. So still not a ton, but more than these other guys. Over 100 pitches 12 times. Over 90. I didn't finish that sentence in my notes, so I don't know. So Boston. So I looked down through this 7, 9, 7, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 8. Looks like there's none of those where he even got some outs but didn't finish. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't start an inning and didn't finish the inning, but you know what I'm saying, just for the point. And here's a good example. May 26th in Seattle, 6 innings, was throwing well, right? But he ends up with 6 runs. And the thing is they scored 2 off Keller in the 7th. So he really went 6 innings, 4 runs. 6 innings, 4 runs, he's not dealing. The Pirates still send him out there in the 7th. He walks a guy, gives up a home run, then they take him out. Seems foolish to even send him out there, other than the fact that he's your guy. But I wonder how many times if the Pirates just don't let him go out there, if his numbers don't look closer to the numbers of Glasnow and Blake Snell. I mean, Blake Snell, those are Cy Young numbers. Obviously, he's not going to approach that right now. For a part of the season, he was approaching that. However, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to say this is going to knock your ERA down 2 full runs. But it's the idea that seeing success of these two, and more than them, it's not just them, right? By not having them go deep into games, like I said, these are 2 highly regarded pitchers, is why I'm using them as the example.
Right.
It really had me thinking, what if the Pirates utilize their starters a little different? What if this is some sort of model, and I know that we don't like the opener, we don't like piggyback starts and all those things, but with young pitching, what if that's the smarter way to go?
Yeah, and you can convince me of that. I'll never hop on board with the opener. I just don't like that, and what it is. But I don't. I can see this being effective, and if you can, whatever way you can win games,
that's the bottom line, right?
I'm on board. I will backtrack. I don't think openers are going to win you or lose you a game. I don't.
So let's talk more about the piggyback, though.
The piggyback starts. So for me, you're adding more pitchers that are going to be throwing longer, and you're limiting your bullpen.
But if you do that, let's say you have 6 guys that are starting pitchers, right? And maybe only one guy who is like a long man. Instead of 2 long men, you have a guy who's capable of actually starting, right? And instead of going through a 6-man rotation, you take that extra guy, you get a little bit creative with days off and things like that, but you have maybe a couple of guys who are basically designed to say, you're going to pitch 1 time through the order, and if you're rolling, we'll go the 2nd time. But then you're gone. And we're going to go into this other guy. So let's say that gets you through the 4th or 5th inning, even sometimes. 5th? Does that make sense? Yeah, because technically it gets you through the 6th if you have a no-hitter, right?
Right.
Is that right? Yeah.
If you have a perfect game, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're right. So anyway, let's say it gets you through 4 innings on average. You've gone through the order maybe 1.5, 2 times. And we go on to the next guy. You're getting the ball to only need 2 relievers at the end of the game. So long as they're effective and they're capable of getting you through the 2 of them through 7 innings, which one guy needs to go 4, the next guy only needs to go 3. That seems like that's an easy thing to do, right? You can prep for that knowing the whole time. If you do it, starting pitchers and routines and things like that, you could pretty much, you don't have a time, but you have an idea that, hey, no matter what happens in this game, you're going in the 5th. It feels dumb, right? From our old heads, it feels dumb. But those numbers and those guys with those numbers, they're going to be better. You know what I'm saying? And if the first guy's struggling, then that second guy knows it's either the 4th or the 5th, but you will at least come in the 5th.
Yeah.
Tell me I can come in the 4th or 5th inning, and if I come in the 5th, I literally only have to throw the 5th and 6th, and then if I'm rolling, I'll throw the 7th. But either way, you shorten that bullpen. You know what I mean? And you've only added in this scenario, you've only added 1 starter. Now, you have that one long man, that one guy like an Andre Jackson who can go 2 to 3 innings anytime he goes out there. And he's basically available if somebody gets hurt. Guy goes out there, maybe he gets shelled in the first inning and you say, all right, you're not coming in the 4th. You're going in right now. So you bring in a reliever, you get him out of the inning that he's struggling in, and then that next guy starts the next inning and you say, give me 3 to 4. Then on that day, you need a little bit more, right? But on the days that Keller pitches and hopefully one other guy that they're able to go get, you don't have to worry about this.
So you dropped the key nugget right there. I will say that. If you're doing a piggyback start, the second starter, the second bulk guy, whatever you want to call it, does not come in the middle of an inning.
Right. In my scenario, you would get him out with a reliever and then let him start a fresh inning.
Yes. And I think that's the way you would do it every single time in order for that to work. In order for it to work well. Because this guy, when he's getting his motion started for when he's going to be going in, say he's supposed to go in the 5th. Well, now you're going to come in the 4th. Not a big deal of an adjustment for him as long as he doesn't have to come in and immediately be throwing from the stretch.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
That's not what he's prepping for. He's prepping for a clean inning. So give him the clean inning. Hey, I'm going to use you an inning earlier. I'm going to use Moretta to get out of this jam real quick because that's what I think Moretta should be used. He should just get pitchers out of jams, quit putting him in at the end of the game.
Save him for those moments.
If Bednar's not available, Holderman's not available, whatever, I get it. Use him there. But he needs to get the starters out of the jams, period. That should be his role. He's excellent at it. Just let him thrive.
Or anyone out of innings, right? So do you think that something like this, you're not only doing that, but you're also limiting innings, right? And so you're hopefully helping with injuries when you're stretching guys out, going deep. You're hopefully helping with something like that. See how many times were guys out there more than they should have been. You know what I'm saying? Even Mitch Keller, because you were asking him to do a lot. I would even say not piggyback sort of situations, but like if Mitch Keller's given up 4 runs, don't send him out there in the 7th inning. I know why we did, but what if we didn't? Do we just increase his numbers? And yes, the pitcher's going to say, I want the ball. But at some point you have to say, dude, you've given up 4 runs. Come back the next start and do better. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe, if he's doing better, he earns another inning. But if he's not doing good, you got to make a move. And the only way you can do that, the only way you can take him out when I've got 85 pitches, I know I can go out there in the 7th. I don't care. You've given up 4 runs. Come do better next time. But what that means is if he's dealing through 6 and he's feeling good, but he's at 98 pitches, you have to be willing to give him the 7th.
Yeah.
Because it has to be, you know what I'm saying? You have to say no, or let's say he's pitched 8. You know what I'm saying? Let's say he's thrown 8 innings and he's at 98 pitches. You have to be willing to give him the 9th if he wants it, just to counter that and say, like, you want the complete game, man? I'm going to give you a chance to get a complete game. If he's going out there for the 7th with 98, there's no reason.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Unless we need it and he really wants it. There's scenarios. We don't need to cover all the scenarios. Glasnow and Snell, neither one, man, had a start go beyond the 6th inning when they struggled. They got him out.
Yeah.
And their numbers look great because of it. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like Oviedo and Keller both had at least one start where it got away from them in later innings and they were already not doing well.
Yeah.
Not like, they gave up no runs through 6 and then you sent him out there for the 7th and he gave up 2. I'll take 2 runs. But if he's already given up 2 runs and you send him out there for the 7th, that's where I'm like, you could have just had a six inning game with two runs. Instead, you have 6 2/3 with 4 runs and it's no longer a great start. Like, give him that great start. Make those numbers better. You have other pitchers. And the way that they move pitchers around, I'm just wondering, does this, like I said, we needed it, right? And I get it. But moving forward, does this make a difference? And is this something that even as a traditionalist who wants my starter to go 7 or whatever, really, I don't even care. Pitch me an effective game. I expect sometimes that goes into the 7th and 8th inning. You know what I'm saying? Give me an average of 6 innings. Give me an average of 5 2/3 or something. I don't know. Either way, throw 200 innings if you're going to be called an ace. You can be my number 1, but you're not an ace till you've thrown 200 innings and you're a sub-4 ERA, period. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll give a little bit. Now, if you're a 180 like Snell and you've got a 225, yeah, we'll go there. You know what I mean? But if you're a 350 and you haven't thrown 200 innings, you're not an ace. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's never going to happen. But I could see, and we're talking 1 year. This is all goofy, but are you willing to go this route if it means our guys will be more effective and hopefully this leads to winning more games?
Right.
And keeping people healthy.
Yeah. And it's like we started out with this is you're reserving the ace for that specific criteria. And I'm looking at piggyback starts being the younger guys that aren't established yet. Like, I'm not using a piggyback or anything like that for Mitch Keller.
No.
I'm not. That's not what we're talking right now. We're talking about preventing Mitch Keller's numbers from being inflated.
Yeah, but it's
sending him out for the extra inning.
That's it. It's that extra inning, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so I just wanted to make sure that that's clear because, that's Mitch Keller's still our guy, and he is approaching. If he continues to get better, he's approaching that ace status. It's not ready to hand it to him yet. He's definitely our number 1.
Yeah.
But I could see us going that route with guys like Luis Ortiz.
Oviedo. I mean, I know the Oviedo could be injured going into the season, but could we avoid this situation that he's in right now by doing this?
See, I'm almost lumping Oviedo, not all the way to Mitch Keller, but I'd like to limit the extra stuff with him, not piggybacking.
I'm not saying piggyback. I'm not saying piggyback every start either. That's why I said you got 6 guys. You don't have 12, right? I'm saying you don't have 10. You're not doing this with every guy each time.
Right.
I'm saying sprinkle them in there. You know what I'm saying? Oviedo could use that. The problem is Oviedo's inning is the first inning that he struggles in. So that is a guy that you might say, could an opener actually increase his ability to go 6 innings and get you through the 7th if he just didn't have to throw that first inning? Now, if the second inning,
throw the first inning when he touches the mound,
his first inning. But if that's not the first inning, if that changes for him, that's what I'm saying. You have to figure that stuff out. But that's the only. I know that you're totally against the opener, so you don't even have to make a comment on that because you'll be against it. But I'm saying if it works, I don't care. I would do it. If it works for him, I would do it to get him out of that first inning, and then he can settle in. But either way, whatever it is, you do what you do to try to win games. But I think on top of that, we have to also think about, Jared Jones, Paul Skeens. Eventually, you're talking, Paul Skeens, Solometo, Chandler. We got a lot of these young pitchers coming up. Mm-hmm. And how do you How do you get them to a point where you're not running them into the same problem that Oviedo ran into last year? And go listen to last week's show where we kind of talk about, Gary and I kind of talked about, how long you're using these guys and how many innings they're throwing and trying to prevent injuries. This is just like the second part of that conversation. There's a third part too that maybe we'll get into this offseason, maybe not, about max effort and Greg Maddux, right? Maybe we'll get into that sometime this offseason if we can, but we've got definite opinions on that as well. And, but this one in particular, we're looking at two guys who are considered elite only because they had a little bit of a shorter leash.
Yeah.
Now, Tampa is not in the same boat as San Diego. It was easy to do that with Snell because you had guys like Musgrove and Darvish and whoever else that were capable of pitching deeper, and so your bullpen wasn't, overworked as well.
Yeah.
But Glasnow's not in that situation. Tampa does that with everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
Right.
we're just not going to do it. We're going to keep you fresh. Now, 21 starts didn't prove that, but the idea is that if I can keep him fresh and keep him from going deep into games so that I know he's available for the next game and ready to go, and you don't have fatigue and you don't have those sort of things, he can be effective for longer and more often. Availability is an attribute.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? There's value in availability. If you continue to start 30 games every single season, I'm going to pay you more than a guy who's starting 20 games a season. Period.
Yeah.
And somehow Glass now got 25 million for never. This was the first year he's ever started 20 games. I don't know how in the world that you can even get to that number, other than the fact that Tampa knew that they were never going to pay him that anyway. They were always going to trade him before that. So they didn't care what that number was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. To me, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I'd rather not have guys hurt.
Right.
I'd rather have guys' numbers look better. We continue to look at these pitchers and say, yeah, but this guy wasn't that good. I mean, you go look at Mitch Keller and you say, like, well, what was his season really? And at the end of the day, he had a 4.21 ERA. And we're talking about a guy who was in the Cy Young conversation for a piece of this year. 4.21 is not good. It's fine, but it's not a number one.
Right.
And had we just not sent him out there a few times, maybe he's under a 4.
Yeah.
And so even him, I'm saying, do personal statistics matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you even care? Did he help us win some of those games, or did he actually help us lose them? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did he help us win another game because he went a couple extra innings and gave a couple guys in the bullpen a day off? I don't really know. But to be honest with you, I think I'd rather take him out, put the bullpen in. If you need to make a move to option somebody down and bring somebody else up for availability, do it. But I think you got to start protecting guys like Mitch Keller and putting him on the map. I mean, in a couple of years, if they can't get him extended in a couple of years, you need his value to be high in a trade.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm with you.
I just wonder if there's a little bit to it here when we look at some of these other guys who are being taken out early and not thrown 200 innings. I think that Mitch Keller was pushed a little too hard this year. Probably shouldn't have even been close to 200 innings.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to that 180. And if you can get, 2-3 guys at that 180 mark and then work somebody else in, you're giving somebody else more opportunity, but you're also just not overexposing them and limiting innings to avoid injuries. I just think there's a lot there. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And we'll see what they do. We're long, so it's a good talk. And I understand pitching is specifically something that, that this is a difficult exercise for you.
Yeah.
You want all 5 starters to go 6 every game.
No.
You want them to.
I want at least 1 through 3 to go 5 or 6 innings every time out.
5 or 6? I mean, that's not actually asking that much. I feel like you
I want 1 and 2 to go 6.
maybe 7. You say a lot.
Maybe 7.
You say a lot. Give me 7 innings.
Yeah, 6 or 7 for your 1 and 2.
And that just doesn't happen that often.
Your 3 guys should average around 6-ish. Should get you into the 6th inning every time. Not every time. Potential to get you into the 6th every time.
On average. Yeah.
Your 4 and 5 are pieced together.
Okay. So that's actually fair. I would have expected you to say you're either a starting pitcher or you're not. And if you can't get through 5, you're not a starting pitcher. But that's...
If you're winning 100 games a year as a team, I expect 1 through 5 to be able to do that.
Okay. So I think that there's a path to win more games by not doing that. So
it's fair.
Getting a phone call. So let's wrap this up. Dude, you take a peek inside of this stuff and it can be confusing times, specifically the TV stuff. A look behind the curtain sometimes is depressing. At the end of the day, I just want to root for the Pirates and hope they win. Do you have any closing things to say? Oh, I know you got one thing. Yeah, there it is. Today's one of those days.
Today's the game.
So it is Saturday for us. It's Saturday morning.
Go Buckeyes.
Yep, it's a big...
I'm sure when you guys watch this, I'm either going to be crying or having a party. I won't be. I mean, I'll get over it.
Considering they're not going to listen to this until after Monday, I think it'd be
right. Right. I'll be fine by then, no matter what.
Big week for college football. Couple big games. Obviously, in
week.
Our part of the country, Ohio State, Michigan. Doesn't get better than that. So I know a lot of people will be tuned into that game today too. Jake will be
down here. It's Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah, I like that game too.
Yeah,
but obviously, Jake's gonna get off here and change into all red clothes, and
I wear my Brutus shirt, black Brutus shirt.
Okay.
Red socks. It's the way it rolls.
That's every game?
Every game.
Okay. Well, either way, that's fun. Let's go Bucks, right? I mean, you can say that.
Let's go Bucks
all
squared.
The time. Yep, that's good. Yeah, it's cool. Root for the Pirates, guys. No matter what happens here, if all you do is take this stuff and talk trash about the organization and focus on all the negative stuff, you're not really a fan. So don't say you're a Pirates fan. You're just somebody paying attention to the Pirates so that you can trash them. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, it's just not what we do around here. We're hoping that things get good.
Quite frankly, that's not cool, man. That's just not cool.
Yeah. Have a great week, guys. Next time we talk, we will be getting ready for winter meetings.
Yep.
Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!